go to Chicago with me. Great, doing great.
Check, 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 check. Anybody here?
No.
Anybody here?
Where is he?
Check, 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 check.
He's like the voice from above. Cash, 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 cash. Brian Hassett is the voice
Check.
from above.
I want to welcome you all to the Twanger Plunkers Family Reunion.
Whoa.
I believe we have Mr. Brian Hassett in the house somewhere, who is going to provide an invocation of some sort, if we have Brian. It seems like you have opportunity to speak.
Fire lights and smoking nights and splashes of dripping paint. Jazz explosions and constant commotions. Leave it to Beaver, this ain't.
Nice shirt.
Give me your befuddled masses, your rejection slips, pink slips, verbal slips, all. Knock down the gates, throw open the bars, the pranksters are having a ball. Teach me, show me, let me in. Challenge me, push me, help me win. Athletes have their team, and suits can wear the firm. But the writing arts keeps you home alone, and the stables is where you turn. Solo suffering totally blows. So into the sea we dive, searching for souls who swim like you and act at least vaguely alive. With deep sea whales you plunge the depths, with freshwater poets you school. With coral reefers, you spark the sea, drinking in dreams from the pool. Boy, what an enthusiastic crowd for noon. So welcome to Wonderland 2.0. Thank you to everyone who made it the first time, who then, that was the first layer of growth, the first ring on the tree, and now we've got another one, and this is going to be a redwood before we're done with this. And I want to throw it, he's never in the room at the right time, but the Wizard of Wonder always misses his tributes. And this is another one, so where's the camera? Wiz, this is for you and everything you have done to create this world that all of us have come to dance in. And I said, he's like the best GM of a sports team you could ever have. That this guy can spot talent, recruit it, and get it on the team, and create this world that we're all living in. And so I'm glad to be playing on that team.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to throw out something to, there is a whole ton of Canadians in the house. Miss Anonymous has graced us all the way from Calgary, California. And obviously we're attracted to each other because we've got Gubba and Uncle Mike at the same table. And then right next there I see David Stewart right there. And in the back of the house we got Colby O'Neill, the filmmaker. And somewhere in this madness is Patty Cake and stage left, right down there. He's audience left. And a very cool thing that's also happened with this is when I went to Bears Picnic last year, I fell in with this crew, the Lucky Dogs. And I was like, I recognize this scene. And those guys and girls are doing something that's an exact mirror through the looking glass of what us pranksters have been up to. And I was like, I gotta get our two families together.
And you did!
And so there's about 4 of them here who have traveled from like Virginia, far Pennsylvania, Illinois. I think there's old Bear is sitting up there. And Miles is here somewhere, and Karen and Linda. So pranksters, embrace and welcome this other family. Because they're the pioneers of the dogs. I like to call it the happy pranksters and the lucky dogs. And we're starting to move our, oh, there's Miles. We're starting to, they're the first ones to kind of dip their toe in the Kool-Aid here. And there'll be more coming, and then we'll be at their scenes, and we'll have a whole hell of a family. All right. So there's some of that. All right, here's another one here. Jack, and John, and Jerry, and Jimmy, and Jim, and Janice, and Juliet, and Josephine, and Jesus, and Jackie, and Jefferson, Johnson, Jackson, and Jones, and James, and Joyce, and Jolson, and Jessel, and Judy, and Johnny, and Julie, and Jen, and Jesse, and Josie, and Jules, and Jan, and jackknives, and jackpots, and jailbaits, and Johns, and jackasses, juveniles, journalists, and jurists, and jealousy, and junk bond, and jewelry, and junk, and journeys, and jingles, and jammin', and joy. Perfect this time of year. Gonna ring a big ding, calling out from Sing Sing. Gonna have a spring fling, kinda have an inkling. Everything is gonna sell, coming out the dripping well. Middle East of burning hell, clanging morning warning bell. The toast is up, the jam is done. Twisted people think it's fun, blowing neighbors with a gun. Sneaky, creepy, bang, bang, run. B for bombing, N be labor, S for slitting with a saber. I don't know, but love thy neighbor seems to me was from your labor. Jumping Jesus, what went wrong? Rodney King says get along. Lennon leaves us with a song. Bernie does it with a bong. The Dalai Lama makes the case, and Jerry did it out of space. Alicia's singing Soul's new face. But best of all is the wizard's place. I'll tell you why. It's 'cause we're here. It's live. It's now. You have a beer. Top me up with living cheer. I'm Sergeant Pepper, feeling gear. We're water, water everywhere. Make us grow and make it better. Water, water everywhere. Take the dry and make 'em wetter. Spring is here. I smell the bloomin'. Many minds in Indy zoomin'. Trippin' like you're mushy shroomin'. Honest like you're Harry Truman. Shootin' wicked witches broomin'. Martin Luther King exhumin'. Everybody here's a crewman. Take your soul and keep on groomin'. Spike the spirit. Keep on zoomin'. All it takes is being human.
Yeah.
There's no doubt this is the most enthusiastic noon crowd I have ever had. So, Jack, a little bit of Jack.
Yes.
Yeah.
The man of the hour.
Great.
So, another guy you may have heard of, one Jerry Garcia.
Ah.
He was a bit of a fan. And in 1989, Rhino Records put out a re-release of Kerouac's records. Dennis McNally, somebody know who Dennis McNally is from the Dead? Wrote the book? Not many. But anyway, he got hired to be the Dead's publicist because he wrote such a great book on Jack Kerouac. So, and so he got Jerry to write his long, amazing tribute to Kerouac. And here's a little excerpt of it. So here's Jerry on Jack. So you might want to hear it. A germinal moment for me was back when I was going to the San Francisco Art Institute on the weekends. And the words Beat Generation first began hitting the papers. We asked our teacher, the great Wally Hedrick, rest in peace, what a guy, about it, and he said, well, there's this book, On the Road. It's all in there. Then over the next couple of years, I read Kerouac, and I remember in 1959 hanging out with a friend who had a Kerouac record. I'd read him, but I hadn't heard it. The cadences, the flow, the kind of endlessness of the prose, the way it just poured off. It was really stunning to me. His way of perceiving music, the way he wrote about music and America and the romance of the American highway, it struck a primal chord. It felt familiar, like something I wanted to join in. But it wasn't a club. It was a way of seeing. It became so much a part of me that it's hard to measure. I can't separate who I am now from what I got from Kerouac. I don't know if I would ever have had the courage or the vision to do something outside with my life, or even suspected the possibilities existed if it weren't for Kerouac opening those doors.
Whoa!
Jerry,
Good, Jerry.
Yeah.
okay, so one of the biggest things Jack did was break open the whole form of novel writing, which included the scroll that he wrote On the Road on, which he did because in the old days on typewriters you would type, and then when the page would get to an end you had to take that out and put in this other one, and it totally broke the flow. So he took these 12-foot long strips of paper and taped them together and fed them in so he could just keep flowing uninterrupted. And Allen Ginsberg, being the guy he was, always thinking of history and getting things done, asked Jack shortly after this to write down how the heck you do this. So Jack wrote what he called the list of essentials for spontaneous prose. And so here's how he, in 1952, advised us, still here in the 21st century, to approach art. Scribbled secret notebooks with wild typewritten pages for your own joy. Submissive to everything, open, listening. Try never to get drunk outside of your own house. Be in love with your life. Something that you feel will find its own form. Blow as deep as you want to blow. Write what you want bottomless from bottom of the mind. Write the unspeakable visions of the individual. No time for poetry, but exactly what is. Entranced fixation, dreaming upon object before you. Remove literary, grammatical, and syntactical inhibitions. Like Proust, be an old tea-head of time. Tell the story of the world in interior monologue. The jewel center of interest is the eye within the eye. Write a reflection, and write in recollection and amazement for yourself. Work from pithy middle eye out, swimming in language sea. It's a tough one. Accept loss forever. Believe in the holy contour of life. Struggle to sketch the flow that already exists intact in your mind. Don't think of words when you stop, but see the picture better. Write for the world to read and see your exact pictures of it. Compose wild, undisciplined, pure, coming in from under. Crazier the better. You're a genius all the time.
Whoa!
Let's hear it for Brian Hassett.
Trying to get in the hook.
Okay, I just came across this one of the first stories I ever had published way back when, early 80s. And I hadn't seen it or read it in a long time, just found it somewhere, and I was like, this fits a lot of the themes that we're living here and all weekend. My writing and Jack's writing reflected. Sorry. No, you're not. Being an old tea-head of time, I get caught in love.
Don't you ever apologize.
That was my Canadian coming through for me. So anyway, this is this wild story. It was published in the Minetta Literary Review, and like I say, it's a road, pranksters, adventure, all sorts of stuff. And I've never read it in public, so. And that's the thing about pranksters, is, you know, breaking the mold and doing things you never did before. I think that's kind of the point this weekend.
Yeah.
So here's this old early piece that is perfectly reflective of what we're all about. Very short, 2 pages. It's called Harmony. I picked him up hitchhiking on a sunny summer afternoon on the Trans-Canada Highway. He jumped in beside me like we were old friends and said, "Good morning." He glanced over at me real quick with a wide, happy grin, then stared straight down the road in seemingly eager anticipation of the scenes ahead. I sat motionless, a little confused over this person who'd suddenly popped out of nowhere and was now sitting beside me in the front seat. I think I swallowed and shook my head a second before accelerating. I can't really remember. Anyway, we were off. And he sat perched forward on the seat, his face close to the windshield, his hands under his thighs. "How you doing?" I offered with a smile, not really knowing what else to say. "Good, good. Did you see that full moon last night?" I started to say that I had, but he was off. "What a beauty. Full moons are great, eh? Things really fly under them. Had this great night out by the stream at this closed down ski resort back there, Holiday Mountain. You ever been there?" In mid-breath, he had paused and looked over at me for an answer. I was caught a little off guard by this speedy request for input. I couldn't think for a moment whether I had been there or not. And he started right up again, though. "You know, full moons are so important. I watch out for them because, you know, a hot spell is coming up. You notice how things just happen a lot more when there's a full moon? Everyone's energy is higher. It's great. And once you notice its positive effects and can accent them, like just now, I just stepped out on the highway 3 minutes before you stopped. Like, hitchhiking's better when it's full, business, relationships, man, just everything is better when it's full. I bet you even get better gas mileage." And he turned and smiled, but only paused for a single quarter note. "Yeah, these old Parisiennes are great, eh? They still look great. What year is it, 70? 69. Yo, yeah. Great cars. And pretty flat roads, too, eh? So smooth for driving. And that's something else that's better around full moons, too. Driving becomes great. Just one's working relationships with machines in general is enhanced. You know, it's like an all-round peaking time. Sometimes you're thinking things are going so good, and you look up and say, I'll bet it's a full moon. And it is. It's great. I stayed up all night writing in my log. They're really important, don't you think? Been keeping one for years. It's a chance to get everything down. If you're living really fast, you have to have some recording of it or it'll all become a blur. You always think of publishing it, but you know you never will. Who'd want to read somebody else's log anyway? Did you ever keep one? And he actually paused and seemed like he was going to wait for an answer. He seemed serious. In fact, he was serious the whole time, just always smiling. Sound familiar? I told him that I'd kept one years ago and that it was really good. Funny stories of days I'd never see again. But my exchange was slow and had slowed the tempo of the conversation down. The scenery even seemed to be going by slower. As this thought hit, just for a second, a beat, I paused. And he jumped right back in, picks things right up. Yeah, I stayed up all night writing mine under the moonlight. That's a very spiritual way to write. No way can you lie or write anything less than positive with that big holy spotlight watching you. And he started going off on how the moon represented the cycles of nature, and didn't I agree, and the whole life is a circle concept, etc. And I was beginning to see the game. He flowed along talking a melody. And if anyone wanted to talk a harmony to it, they could jump right in. I tried but wasn't fast enough, so he picked it up again. He was still talking about how he was a night owl and stayed up all night writing. Yeah, I've always been a bit of an insomniac, he said, but I feel good about it. A lot of famous people were insomniacs, you know? Robert Louis Stevenson, Sigmund Freud, Benjamin Franklin. And I figure if all those people stay up late at night and come up with world-altering ideas and things, it can't be all that bad. And they say some of the best ideas come after midnight. There's nothing wrong with staying up all night, eh? Hey! Preaching to the choir here. Or taking little cat naps all the time. Actually, that way you get to see the whole day, because you're never really sleeping more than a couple hours at a time. Mornings are best, and seeing them definitely gives you a whole clearer perspective on the day. But if you're up all night, you might already have whole new perspectives on the world and people. Trick is, I guess, to be up all night and all morning. That's a good idea. The best time to sleep really is about, like, I don't know, 5 in the afternoon till 9 or 10 at night. Yeah, catch a few hours there and maybe a couple hours someplace else, and you get to have the whole day, you know? The morning, the night, and the day's business hours. Another quarter note pause, and I was in on the downbeat. Yeah, it's funny that there's that connection with that one on the road and insomnia, like with truck drivers.